I'm curious about the subconscious mind and how, stuff can be running kind of on autopilot and I'm not aware of it and may want to make a decision, but something is blocking me from that, from my past or a story that I might be telling.
Well, this is a really good conversation to have in light of this new analogy about choosing the discs and momentum. So it seems logical, doesn't it, that, well, let us start here. We have never been very eager about talking about the subconscious mind because we really don't see the point of it when you have the ability to consciously choose high-flying discs and precisely get what you want. But we have to acknowledge that there are thoughts that you've been thinking that have carved out some momentum, that have accomplished some beliefs. So we want to begin this conversation by saying, unless the vibration is active right now, it is inconsequential. And if it's active right now, it's not unconscious. Because anything that's active now, you can feel your relationship between your conscious active thought and the conscious active thought of the source within you. That's the whole point of everything that we've been talking about here today. So it would be an easy way to just say to you, if you're aware of the way you feel, and it's easy to get there after you play around with this stuff for a little while, if you're aware of the way you feel, you never need to worry about some unconscious thought blindsiding you again. First of all, a thought that's unconscious doesn't have much momentum, and it doesn't have much effect in your experience until it does have more momentum. So we think it is just yet another way that humans have been trying to explain why it feels like they don't want you to win. You innately know that life is supposed to be good for you and that you are supposed to be winning. And when, for whatever reason, you're in a place of holding the goodness that you have identified that you want away from you, then it's logical that you would say, well, it must be for this reason or this reason or this reason. And a lot of people are using the subconscious mind. I must have some subconscious thoughts that are going on that are keeping me from getting what I'm wanting. And we want to say, no, that isn't the case, because if it's subconscious, it's not a big player. And if it's a big player, you ought to be feeling it.
Nice.
So then let's take this question a little further. So is it possible that you could have some thoughts that are detrimental, that you keep beating the drum of, that you have formerly not realized were detrimental? Well, we would certainly say that's the case, wouldn't you? Hasn't a lot of that occurred to you even during the discussion that we've been having today? Don't you realize that there are a lot of things that a lot of people talk about on a really regular basis that keep momentum going on things they don't want. And you just do it because everybody does it. Just seems like the normal thing to do. Well, of course, I'm going to talk about that because everybody's talking about that. But when you start saying, do I care about the disc I'm on, and can I talk about it and be on that disc? Then you start differentiating with a little more clarity what you're willing to turn your attention to. Does that make sense to you?
Thank you. Would you be able to elaborate on the ego? Like when I first got to your teaching, I think my ego was very wrapped up in, I'm going to get, whatever, everything I want, a new car, and then I slowly started to learn that it's about the feeling and that, manifesting the feeling. And so, I have like these dreams or these ideas and I get lost in, is that just my ego being like, oh yeah, you want all this stuff, or you want the recognition. And so I get caught in.
Well, it's easy to make this complicated, and you just did a little bit. And so here's what we would softly explain about ego. You were source energy before you came into this physical body. And a part of that consciousness presents itself here in this personality known as you. And that's a very egotistical, very aware of self point of view. In other words, if you are not personally in your physical body selfish enough to care about how you feel, to care about what your relationship is with this broader perspective that you are constantly becoming, then you have no possibility of ever being a deliberate creator. And so it's really a wonderful thing that you are self-aware. We want you to be egotistically selfish about the way you feel. Everything that we've been talking about here today is about you choosing the disc that you be on, you choosing your point of attraction, you doing something about controlling your vibrational output. And we would say that that's pretty egotistical. We would be so egotistical in the physical sense that we would be unwilling to go too far into too many conversations that cause us to come off our high-flying disc. There are people that will stand back and call you arrogant when you expect good things to come to you. They would call you egotistical when you are expecting good things. When you say, everything is always working out for me, there are people that might be standing in a place where things don't look like they're working out very well that would call you egotistical. How dare you make that demanding statement that things are always working out for you? But there's an understanding about the laws of the universe that once you get yourself into vibrational alignment with who you are and what you have become, all that you've desired, the universe will cooperate with you, you see. And so we like the word focus more than the word ego because it makes people think of all the things. People have got a lot of clogged pipes around the subject of ego. And they've got a lot of clogged pipes around the subject of subconscious thoughts. They've got a lot of clogged pipes around the subject of God and source. In other words, there are a lot of things as people have been trying to figure out because most people have not been creating from the inside out as we are demonstrating here today. Most people are looking at the results of creation and they're seeing these variety of things that have been created by the mass consciousness that surrounds them. And then they sort this creation, this manifestation into piles and they say, well, this is good creating and this is not so good creating and this is not very good at all creating and this is terrible creating. These are good things and bad things. And then they spend so much of their life experience trying to get themselves and the people that they care about to the good things and away from the bad things. And there are so many flawed premises in their effort because they don't realize that their attention to the unwanted things is keeping the momentum of the unwanted things going and actually preventing them from momentum toward the things that they are wanting. So when you start thinking about deliberate creation, we say, be as egotistical as you can and care as selfishly as much as you can about the way you feel. And take the time to choose the high-flying disc and then watch what happens. And as you come into your steady, chronic empowerment, where there is not much fluctuation in your vibrational frequency, and law of attraction then is surrounding you, not just with thoughts, more thoughts, ideas, but with impulses, with opportunities. Once you acknowledge that you are the creator of your own experience and that you are the offer of the vibration and that the vibration that you offer is being responded to by law of attraction and that everything else follows from that, then words like subconscious mind become irrelevant because you have a really active conscious mind. You wake up in the morning and you deliberately choose a thought because you consciously want to feel the ramifications of that thought in your body. You want to feel the resonance of alignment. You want to feel the clarity. You want to feel the joy. You want to feel the passion. You want to feel the enthusiasm. You want to feel those things. So you're tuning yourself to the frequency because you're hooked on the resonance of alignment and then everything else follows from that. The most important thing that we want to clarify with you is that this creative process really is 3 steps. And that dreaming that you were talking about, that identifying of what is wanted, that setting of your goals and the establishing or identifying of your aspirations, most of that happens during step 1 moments. Most of that happens when you're sifting and sorting through variety, through those piles that you are observing of reality. And you are saying, well, I don't want that. I do want this. I don't want that. I do want this. And in that identifying of what you do want, that's actually when you have been doing your most robust creating. It is, in fact, why you're willing to come forth into this physical body, why you're willing, not just willing, eager to expose yourself to variety that would give birth to new ideas. Because you knew that in the birthing of the new ideas, there would be movement that feels exhilarating. And you knew that the guidance within you, the emotional guidance, would help you find that path of least resistance to those ideas that you'd carved out. And you knew that there was no end to the delicious positive ramifications of that. You knew that you live in a physical world, in a leading edge time-space reality where manifestations would then ensue, where manifestations would come to support the idea. So dreaming is just the first step. Manifesting matters too. But between the dreaming and the manifesting is the alignment, is the choosing of the disc. And that's the new definition that we would like you to discover for what dreaming is. Let's from now on call the dreaming and the aspiring and the egotisticaling, let's call that reaching for the disc that provides the resonance that allows the path of least resistance to all of that. Did you follow that? Oh, you've created so much wonderful stuff, and most of you are still depriving yourselves of it. But it isn't the stuff that we wish for you. It's the sensation of resonance, which is the reason that you want the stuff, and then the stuff will all follow. It is our promise to you. It is our promise to you. What else?
What about healing, in the profession of healing and trauma in the body? I'm clear that, people are come into our life and we are, like as a practitioner, that there's something that flows through us in that process. But, is the trauma kept in the body and then activated later through situations like a manifestation of a physical disease?
It sort of goes back to some of those subconscious thoughts that you were talking about earlier. So is there a momentum? And we have to say yes, because there is even cellular consciousness. But we don't want to give very much attention to it, because we want you to understand that your conscious attention to what you're wanting reigns supreme in all things. It just does. And so we'll talk about that more in the next segment if it feels like it's something that is really active in the group. Let's just leave it there.
Okay.
Let's just leave it that you get what you think about, whether you want it or not. And that you're thinking about things that you're unaware that you are thinking about, because you're not measuring what you're thinking about against the criteria that really gives you the true measurement. And so there are a lot of people that are thinking about things that they don't even know that they're thinking about, and therefore creating momentum that is causing all kinds of things that they do not want, simply because they are creating by default. But it is never necessary. Really good discussion. It's a good time for a segment of refreshment.